than people getting out of their contracts. But I don't think people should be able to, I don't think companies should be able to change their payment structure mid-contract. I just think it's an ethical issue.
You know what, Todd, and you know, by the way, Todd, I miss you being on the air with you, and I love Francis and Malia, but I got to tell you, Todd and I used to hang out all the time on the air and, you know, do our part to add to global warming. But Todd, here's the deal with this annoying fee. And what it was is Verizon was essentially saying to you, the customer, as Francis has pointed out, if you want to pay online or you want to pay with your mobile device, we're going to charge you for doing it. We're going to charge you for paying us. And that is unbelievable. I mean, what do you make of that?
I thought it was crazy for Verizon to do that. They obviously wanted to change some behavior, and instead of using the carrot approach, you know, try to incentivize, they used the stick approach, which really isn't going to keep your customer satisfied.
They used the annoying approach. They didn't use any stick or carrot. It was the annoying approach, right, Todd? Let's be real.
Or the annoying, annoying, and you're going to make your customer angry, and they're going to leave. But we really don't need Big Brother to come in. I mean, remember the government algebraic equation. They have a problem, they have a reform, and that creates twice the problem.
Yeah, that's what Verizon
does. But the customers pay for the FCC.
Go ahead, Francis.
No, the customers, the FCC gets its funding from the fees that they add on to the wireless bill every month. So if the government's not going to come in on their behalf, then what are they paying these fees for? That doesn't make sense. They have to come in on their behalf. You know, Liz, another issue that this brings up for me is that I think these are the sort of underhanded moves that confuses young people about the essence of capitalism. People say, oh, we hate capitalism. It's all about greed. It's not about greed at all. It's about production. And this is the sort of thing that gives capitalism a bad name.
Yeah, that's right, because Malia, it's anti-production. It creates essentially fees that are submarined and, you know, written in pharmaceutical font type, and it wastes time trying to dig out what those fees are. It wastes time for the people who have to even collect the fees because they could be making mistakes, and then it wastes time by people calling up, getting angry, and using the airwaves to say, you know what, we don't like it, knock it off. And by the way, they did it within like hours, whereas Bank of America, you know, did it within a month and about 5 weeks when it ditched its stupid debit card fee. I mean, is this the year, is 2012 going to be the year that companies are going to sit up, Malia, and say, you know what, we really do finally have to listen to the customer and knock it off with this kind of behavior? Because look at what happened with Netflix. Netflix back down too.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And maybe Verizon moved so quickly because they immediately saw what was happening. And maybe that's why the FCC stepped in so quickly to let all of us know that the government is watching out for its citizens. And, you know, I think that corporations are going to have to figure out another way to be responsible to their shareholders. And it can't always be on the backs of their customers. You know, a $2 fee might seem like a small amount. But as you said, I think it's more of the annoyance factor of how are you going to charge me when I'm paying you online or using mobile. I mean, it just seems ridiculous. And I agree with what Francis said. I think it's this type of thing that gives capitalism a bad name and makes it look like it's just about greed.
Yeah, Todd, you know, what does this mean for the CEOs of these companies who do these things? And let's face it, you know, yeah, a $2 fee might sound minuscule, but you know, it's also when you get your cable bill and all of a sudden you see a rate increase that's really difficult to understand. You're smart with algebra. Let's do this. How about what happens to the CEO when they try to do these moves again in 2012?
Well, I think the reason why they tried to do this was the second thing that a company needs, and that's to keep the shareholders happy, and that's to generate earnings. And I think you have the bean counters and you have the people sitting around the table trying to figure out how are we going to, you know, raise revenues. And this is one of the ways they try to do it with fees. I mean, the government does it too. Yeah. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that customers have to be aware of it, and you're going to get that backlash like Bank of America did, like Netflix did, and they would have backed down.
Yeah, but Francis, with this Verizon move, you know, basically Verizon's facing a very expensive build-out for a new 4G network, and it's really trying to stay on the top of the pyramid because it's beating out AT&T, basically because it does have better service, but there's a lot of upgrades coming with cell phone services. It seems to me like they just rubber stamped this as a fake fee, saying it's for if you want to, you know, pay your bill to us online or a mobile device. It didn't seem real. It didn't seem credible. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that this is pressure from the economy, Liz. I think people know that the economy is still going to struggle, and I think they are trying to bolster revenues because their other option is to cut costs and cut jobs. And I do think they have some expensive changes, but the problem with this is that it always hits people who are struggling the most, and that is not the point of customer service at all. It's like time to fix this economy. It's time to get real with this administration, and that's the only solution. Otherwise, these companies are going to continue to come up with these creative solutions for revenue.
All right, All-Star panel, you're going to be back later in the hour. Such smart stuff from you, gang. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve almost. Next up, the good, the bad, the broke. We've got the list. Verizon may have just landed its